Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome to video number 2, which is pretty cool because I had 2 people watch the last video, so maybe I'll get 2 again. Who knows? Anyways, this is an M16, and actually this is a replica. And I used to use something like this in the Marine Diet. So it's not really a replica. It's not even a real gun. This is just a toy. It's a BB gun, right? I use it with my kids. I teach them range safety, gun safety, stuff like that. But I used to use this in the Marine Corps. Well, not all right, not this exact thing. Pretend it's a M16. All right. So I used to train on this, and I think that the training that I got for this can help you achieving your goals in 2024. And I'm going to explain to you why. All right. So if you want to achieve your goals, you have to focus, right? Everyone knows you need focus, right? And focus is impossible, okay? Especially today. You get too many distractions. There's distractions from everywhere. Every direction you look, there's distractions. It can be, the big one, social media. Obviously, everyone knows. It can be sports teams. Who's in the latest playoff game? It can be a hobby. It can be your significant other. It can be your kids. It can be a pet. It can be a crisis. Anything can be a distraction from achieving your goals. And all these gurus talk about different things. They talk about taking cold showers. They talk about after you set your goal, take a cold shower to remind you every day. Well, I actually do that, and it does help. But it helps other things as well. They say take cold showers. They say if you are trying to focus to go from one workspace to another, randomly, so that it kind of upsets that balance. They talk about setting timers, like flow timers, things like that, so that you can't answer your phone. And all those things are great, but they also require a lot of discipline. And the problem is you set your goal, right? And I got a cool prop here, right? This is your goal, right? So this is a 2022 Porsche 911 Turbo S. Pretty cool goal, right? Out in the open somewhere in California. I think cloudy day there, but still love to be driving that car, right? And so this is your goal, right? Nice and shiny, nice, great background. This is your goal, and you get out of the cold shower, and there's your goal, right? Okay. The problem is, and we're gonna go to cool prop number 2. This is the real world. Okay, you get out of there, you get out of that shower, or you go to sit down at your new location, and work is in your face, or friends or family. Your friend calls you haven't talked to in a month, or social media pops up, or your hobbies, or you have a crisis, right? Anything like that, or your pet gets sick. All right. So a friend of mine, him and his wife were saving to buy a house, and they adopted a cat, and the cat ate something, and they ended up spending thousands of dollars in vet bills, which I think probably put them behind a few months in achieving their goal, and their dream of buying their house. I love pets, cats, dogs, you name it. I have fish, but anyways, I think that it's pretty interesting that that was a distraction for them. That was a huge distraction, and that's the problem that you run into. So how do we focus? How do we get into focus like a sharpshooter, like you would in the Marine Corps? I was in the Marines, and we spent weeks on basic marksmanship training. Okay, and they focused on you were there out there for 12 plus hours a day, for weeks. You were learning the weapon. You were learning breathing techniques. You were learning posture. You were learning to use your skeletal system to support the weapon in the right way. Sight alignment, trigger control, trigger pressure or trigger control, things like that. Even these aren't fully automatic weapons. They are three round burst or single shot. And they did that because they figured out that a lot of people didn't have the right trigger control. They were just running through a whole magazine. So they did a 3 round burst, which I found was much more effective. And all of those things after a couple of weeks got me to actually, I ended up qualifying as expert because of that. And the whole concept of this is it was coming down to focusing on the correct procedures, which allowed you to kind of push out distractions. Okay, you didn't have to worry about who was yelling in your ear. You didn't have to worry about the the guns next to you firing, or the explosion, or anything like that. You know what I mean? All that stuff allowed you, you got all those distractions to disappear, because you were focusing on breathing, you were focusing on trigger control, you were focusing on the rear sight aperture, looking down that sight. Okay, and that really helped you dial in your focus. Okay, and the interesting thing is, you had the target off in the distance, right? And when you were focusing, right, you would focus and you would look down the rear sight, and you look, or the rear sight the rear aperture, and then you look at the front sight post. Target's down there, and that target's in focus, just like it would be, if you have your goal, right? Your goal is in target, in focus. Well, guess what? As you're getting ready to squeeze the trigger, that gets out of focus, and you focus directly on the front sight post. Okay, and this is very important. Okay, and the reason it's important is because there's something that happens in shooting and in real life. Okay, and that is that as you are firing that bullet, the path of that bullet goes directly under the front sight post. Okay, and when it goes under that front sight post, that means that that's the first stop that it takes. Okay, that's the first stop. That's the first stop in line on its way to reaching the target. Okay, and that's the exact same thing that happens in real life. The front sight post shows the path of the bullet, but it also, as you're setting goals, it can be the same thing in real life. And let me explain that a little bit more. So in real life, you're setting goals, right? You want to achieve a goal. Okay, how do you go from here to here? Okay, and well, if you have set the goal properly, you will have outlined a plan and a path. Okay, if you haven't, then you are in real trouble at that point. But on the gun, like we talked about, the front sight post represents a milestone. Okay, it represents the first milestone on the way to the target. Okay, in real life, okay, you have your path, and along that path you should be setting milestones. Okay, now the problem is, okay, we can create a rear aperture and a front sight post. Okay, and I'm going to get out my next cool number 3 drawing or thing. So here you got all your stuff coming in again still, right? But you've got your rear aperture and your front sight post. How do you get that? Right? How do you get these things from coming in? They're all crushing in on that, right? And you really don't have any way of stopping these things. Okay, what you need is, you need planning, you need emotion, you need a team, and you need clarity. Okay, so that leads me to creating my 4th and final drawing for this, right? So your planning, your emotion, your team, and your clarity, they literally white out all of these other things. Okay, they replace all of the other distractions. Okay, and that's important. But it's also extremely important to have your milestones. And the reason that is because to reach your first milestone, you have to take action. You have to take one action to get to that milestone, whatever that one action is, whether it's saving $100 or $500 or $5,000, or walking a mile, whatever it is. You have to take action. Okay, when you do take that action, okay, when you've properly created those actions, right, when you've done that action and those milestones, okay, what you're doing is you're following a path. And if you are not on that path, say your target is over here because it became a little bit out of, it's out of focus, and you're not, it's becoming a little bit, old, it's 4 or 5 months in. But if you've had enough milestones, you can now course correct to get back on. So if you're over here, you can bring your sight back in line to get where you need to be. Okay. Every single milestone creates, requires action. And it also allows for a lot of momentum. Okay, and the momentum, all right, of achieving those milestones, one milestone after the other, that allows you, and course correcting, that allows you to achieve your goal. This is something that you don't have when you are, when you're firing a weapon or anything like that, right? You only have one milestone. You have that front sight post. If it passes under there properly and everything's lined up, guess what? You hit the target. If not, take another shot, right? Well, you don't have to go all the way down there in real life to see that you missed your target. If you know what your target is, and if it's clear, if you have clarity on your target, and you have people backing you and helping you, and you have enough motion driving you, and you've planned properly, guess what? The milestones are going to be in place for you to constantly course correct to hit what you want, to get there. Okay, to get that goal. Okay, so that's why I think that this is one of the most important parts of it. Setting the milestones, because that becomes your front sight. That's a lot. That's allowing you to let you know that you're dialed in. Okay, without that, if you don't have that front sight, okay, I don't have another one of these things, but if you didn't have a front sight, it'd just be a circle, and you really don't know if you're going to hit it. You might get close, but you're probably not going to hit it without that. So, anyways, I'm going to be doing another video. It's actually going to be 2 videos, and it's on an 8-week, or an 8-week, yeah. No, it's an 8-hour course that I took a couple weeks ago, and it's very interesting. It was about planning life goals and business goals for 2024. I spent about 25 hours going through the workbook afterwards, and very interesting, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of it, and maybe I'll see you on the next video if you're not too bored of this one. So until the next time, peace.